All right. So who got their get by ID query done? Tight. Let me start streaming to the TV, and I'm going to let y'all walk me through it. Eight, 4, 6, 8. Fantastic. All right, let's hear it.
Get rid of that.
I got rid of it. All right. Who got the get by ID query?
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
So I did.
Can you blow the screen up a little bit?
Yep. Is that better? Sweet.
So I had a parameter of ID,
Cool.
and then a return of database students, because that's our table or whatever.
Yep.
And then dot where
Mm-hmm.
ID in quotes, comma ID.
Comma ID. Cool. That's it?
Yep.
All right, so walk me through that code real quick. What's happening here?
So you're going to your database that you require. You're going to students.
And what is students one more time?
The table.
The table. Yep.
And then you're finding an ID in the table that you're giving into the browser, or you're sending to.
We're really close here, really close. Does anybody want to help him out? We're talking about this line right here. Where ID is ID. Yeah.
You're essentially picking the position where the ID matches the other ID.
Which ID matches which ID? So like which one does this represent?
That's the one in the table.
In the column.
That's the column. And this one
The one you get.
Is your parameter.
is the parameter that we're passing in. Yeah, exactly. Cool. All right, so basically that was exactly right. We've got our function get by ID. We're passing in an ID that we're going to try to match. And then we're returning, and then we're using DB, which is our connection to our database. And we're going in and we're finding the table students. And then we're saying we want to get where the column ID, whatever entity has the ID of this. Oh, that was confusing. Where the position in the column ID matches the ID that we're passing in. Did anybody write it a different way? The knex docs give you a little bit different way to do it. Yeah.
You just get rid of both those IDs,
Mm-hmm.
and then you just do like squiggly brackets in there as well.
Yep.
And just do ID, colon ID.
Just like that.
Yep. And then after the parentheses, just do a dot first function.
Just like that.
Grabs the takes it out of an array and just makes it the object.
Awesome. Cool. So I'm gonna write both of those up here. Get by ID 2. That's an ID. Return DB students where ID equals ID. Did anybody else write it a different way? No? I think you could probably do something like get by ID 3, pass in the ID, return DB. How did this knex docs do it again? Because there's a way you can select all where students, select all from students where ID is equal to ID. But I'm going to look at the syntax real quick just to make sure that I don't mess it up. So this would be db.select. I can't see that, huh? From, yep, I'm going to just copy paste this over. Select from students where ID is ID. Or I'm sure you could do it the other way as well, where you pass in an object. So we're going to try all three of these. And these are just different syntaxes with which you can do this. Whichever one makes sense to you, use that one. I don't like to do the .select from because you don't have to, and if I can write less code to do the same thing that makes sense to me, I'm going to do it. If this, however, makes sense to you, please do that. All right, cool. So we've got our 3 get by ID functions. Let's go over to which file? How are we going to access these? or what are we going to use? We're going to come to the app.js, and we're just going to pull it over. That's a dumb question. Cool. All right, so what sort of HTTP request are we making to get this? We're making a get, app.get. What's our route going to be? /:ID. Why are we doing :ID here?
Because it's a parameter.
It's a parameter of the request. So we can use that, which is really nice. Cool, so then we're going to do our nice fat arrow function with request, response. We have access to queries because we've imported it right here. So again, let's do queries, and let's do get by ID, the first one. So what are we going to pass into this? A little bit louder? rec.params.id. That is great. And then what? Then.
Students fat arrow function. Res.send. Students.
Love it. All right, cool. Well, let's see if it works. I think that I still have my migrations and seeds in place. I don't think I rolled back anything, so I'm just going to run this. It's running on 3001, localhost 3001 / I've got 2 IDs. Should I do 1 or 2? Any opinions on that one? 1. Here we go. All right. Woo! It works. Now let's try 2. Yeah. Okay, so we know that, oh, what's this? Invalid sent, oh, favicon. I'm going to ignore that. Cool, so we know that the get by ID 1 works, which was this guy. Return DB students where the object with a key of ID is equal to ID. Let's try get by ID 2, which is DB students where the column ID is equal to ID. Let's see, app.js, get by ID 2. Do we need to change anything about what we're passing into this function? No, why? We're just grabbing the ID, it's the same thing. Let's try it out. Yeah, boom, it works. What was the difference between those two? Did anybody see that?
This one's in an array.
This one's in an array, right? So using that .first method, where'd it go? Gave you the first item in that array, and it just basically removes the array. So you get the first object. Generally, you want to structure your data so that it makes the most sense, and if you don't need an array on the outside of it, if you're just returning one thing, get it out of there. You can do that here in your queries. You can also do it in your app.js. You could be like res.send students at 0. That would do a similar thing. It's not quite as pretty, but it does the same thing, right? So if we made this, I'm going to undo that. We're going to make that get by ID, and we're going to send back, oh, that one has first. Never mind. Cool. Does that make sense? Why those two are different, but they both work?
Yes.
Does anybody have any questions? All right, we're going to try get by ID 3 now. I'm going to change this to get by ID 3. Do we need to change anything about what's being passed into it? No. It's going to be the same thing. We're just getting the ID from our request parameters. Did all of you log out request params and take a look at it? I know that you probably have done that before in Express, but I just want to make sure that that idea makes sense to you. You can see actually what is coming across as that object. Does anybody have any questions just about request params? If you think of one, holler. All right, so we're going to do get by ID 3, passing in request params ID, and then we're sending back whatever we receive. So let's go back over here. Let's go for ID 1. And it works. Cool. Again, this is inside of an array. So if I wanted to take it out, again, you could do that. You could use the first method on it. Do you have any questions about removing the outer object or outer array? Great. All right, let's move on then. So now that we've got that going, let us now do our post route. So, who got their post route completed? What you got? This isn't the
Post queries. Or sorry, go to queries.
Yep.
Create student. Parameter set new student.
Great parameter name.
Return new students. Dot insert new student. That's it.
That's it? Alright, cool. So we'll save that. Did anybody do it differently?
I just added returning one.
You had returning? Alright. I'm just gonna copy this. Create student 2. Dot returning what? Star. Okay, cool. So now we got, did anybody else do it differently? Cool. You could probably do something similar to this. I'm sure the knex docs have like a little bit more loquacious method of doing it, but again, if this makes sense to you, keep doing it that way. Cool. All right, now we need our post route. Somebody different who's got a post route. Anybody? App.post. And again, I just want to like reinforce this. What are these dot things? What is that referring to? The HTTP request method, right? So this is only going to be hit if you do a get to this specific route. Get with something after, like that will be passed as an ID. This will only be hit as a post. Cool. All right. So what is the route that you use?
Just the home page.
Cool. The base route. We're going to go ahead and throw a request, response. Great.
Queries.create student.
Uh-huh.
Dot body.
Rec.body.
And then dot then. I just copied the previous promise, but students.
You did students. Students.
Red dot send students.
Cool. All right. So how do we test this? Postman. Have y'all used Postman before? No? Okay. So I'm going to open this up. And Postman is just basically like a headless browser kind of thing that you can send requests from. So we've got localhost 3001. That's where I'm running this. We have a post set up. And there's a couple of things to be aware of whenever you're testing your post route. In your body, you generally want it raw and you want it as a JSON. If you try to send it as text, generally it's going to reject it. If you try to do like form data, if it's not set up for it, it's going to reject it. Generally, you want to send it selected raw, and the format is JSON. Cool. So I already have this pulled up. So if let's test this, we're using the create student, just the original one. So let's send it, and this is what we get back. We get a 200, which is fantastic. That means that everything worked as planned. The server sent back response is like, yeah, you're good to go. But this doesn't really do anything for me, right? We have the command, we have the row count, an OID, no rows, no fields, no parsers. I don't even know what like the parsers would be here. So it's good. We have a response. Our server sent us a response. Our insert was successful, but we're not getting back the object. So let's try queries.createStudent2 and see what that'll get us. I'm going to send the same request. Again, selected raw, and the format is JSON. Send it, and now we get back the actual like student that we inserted into the table. I think that that's really useful because you can use it to not make another like fetch request, and you just get back that object and add it to state or whatever, and then that'll repopulate your list. It will exist both on the back end and the front end, but you don't have to make like another request. So it is useful. Also, this has an array surrounding it. How do we get rid of that? Let's see if that works. Send. Ooh, cannot chain first onto that. Cool. What's another way we could get rid of it? Anybody have any ideas? We're just trying to remove that outer array. Zero what? Meaning, right, zero index of what we're getting back. Because we have an array with one object in it. So if we wanted to remove that outer array, we just return the first index in that array. Let's see if it works. Woo! There we go. That's right. So we've now done a get by ID, and we've done a post route. Both the queries and the routes associated with them. Does anybody have any questions about either one of those two?
Could you go back to your code real fast?
Yeah.
Could you go back to your
Queries?
queries?
Gesundheit. Any questions? Great. So what we'll be doing for the rest of the time, basically until lunch, is just hanging out. And if you have any questions about like the database connection file or what's happening or why X is doing Y, now's your time to like poke at all of us instructors or your classmates and see what's going on and try to like break down whatever blockers you're having. Awesome. Thank y'all.